She dragged the heavy oak chair over the golden linoleum floor to the kitchen counter and softly tapped the well-worn seat in invitation. With great effort, I climbed atop it, one chubby 3-year-old knee at a time, until I stood by her side and breathed her in. My grandmother. A bouquet for your mother, she said. We must always send you home with a bouquet to show her that you love her and that you're grateful for her. Snapdragons, violets, roses. Our Sunday afternoons were always the same. She pulled one long expanse of crisp foil from the roll and spread it over the Formica countertop. Then she moistened a paper towel under the faucet, gently wrung it out, and smoothed it over the foil. Paper towel to hold moisture, and tinfoil to seal it in. The first time I stood on that chair to build a bouquet for my mother, the grass hadn't yet formed the thick carpet over my father's grave that it has today. He was my father, but he was her son, her baby, a son who was vibrant and alive, a son who teased his mother in one moment and indulged her in the next, taken from her in a moment of rage, in a senseless murder. Phlox, irises, peonies. She invited me to remove the flowers we had gathered from her garden from my basket, one by one, and laid them atop the damp paper towel. My selections were random and often unlikely pairings that improved as I learned from her over the years to follow. But she had a knack for taking random bits that didn't belong together and crafting them into something beautiful still. Her life had handed her such, and she built a meaningful, beautiful life in spite of her tremendous grief. Each weekend, for well over a decade, we crafted a bouquet for my mother. And each weekend I spent at her side, I felt closer to my father through the shared experience. And for her, I suspect he lived on when she looked at me and saw his blue eyes looking back at her, the same wavy blonde hair, silky to the touch. With me at her side, perhaps he was a little less gone. Each Sunday, she helped me to create something beautiful, even though she wore her sadness on the outside when my mother returned for me. Lilies, lilacs, sweet peas. It wasn't until my cross-country flight last year, as I returned home after her funeral, and was finally alone with my thoughts, that I realized that those bouquets were never my gift to my mother. They were hers. They were her gift to her. They were a thank you from a mother who had lost a child to a mother who was so remarkably generous with her own. A thank you gift to a mother who, having already lost a child to SIDS before I was even born, understood that death of your own child doesn't make you any less of a mother. Two women connected by the tremendous loss of my father, but united in the sharing of one small child who needed them both, each gifting to the other what she had left to give. Thank you.